Check, check, check. Is anyone out there? Anyone? I'm looking for musicians who were on the 1967 Centennial Barge. Anybody?
Check, check, check. Mackenzie, somebody out there? Anybody out there?
Hello, is this Leanne?
Hey, don't
Wade.
try.
How's it
Wait. Good, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. Currently in Yellowknife. I didn't know these radios could reach that far.
Hey, I'm way upriver. But you know the power of deadly aunties.
Yeah, that deadly signal could reach distances.
That's right. How you been doing? You writing any new poetry?
Good.
I haven't, I'm getting back into writing right now.
Deadly. You gonna share a couple lines with us?
Yeah, when I was writing it, I was trying to think of all these things that...
And it was like more of like the animals and those things were like reminders of how to live, how to be.
Ever good. I'm looking forward to hearing this poem from you, Wade.
The land and animals are always reminding us of how to live. The trees remind us to stand tall and be patient. The grass reminds us to be persistent. The fire reminds us that we are stronger when united. The water reminds us to be open and accepting to the diversity in this world. The wind reminds us that our voices can travel great distances. The earth reminds us in many ways that we came from it, and then one day we're going to return to it when we walk on from this life. The cowboy reminds us to unite as a nation of pride. The wolf reminds us to love and protect our family. The raven reminds us to be creative. The wolverine reminds us to be resistant and always aware. The beaver reminds us to always conserve. The fish reminds us to be transformative. The bear reminds us to embody the spirit we all have inside. Our land and our animals are out there waiting to teach us these important values of life. They depend on us just as much as we depend on them. They come together in harmony to deliver us a message that we all need to hear. And if you look deep into our land, you will begin to understand all these things in a way you cannot imagine. You will see and feel life in moments that will ignite the spirit within you. And if you breathe and embrace the golden silence of our land, you will come to realize that it has a song for those who listen. A song of love.
Yeah, I was sitting here with my boy and he was playing guitar and we're sitting out in the backyard enjoying the beautiful sunshine. And I was thinking about people back home and there you are on this radio.
Yeah. I figured, maybe somebody's going to be on today, so.
Yeah, it's either this or Saturday afternoon request show, so we might as well fill our days.
Yeah.
So Wade, anybody in your family write poetry or stories like you?
And I went through my family history and I tried to find that, and I kind of realized that
I think I'm the first out of the family to go out and start trying to make music and do writing, and
music was where it all started. I had so many influences from music that my mom used to play, and she would play these
either little mixtapes or burnt CDs when we're on family trips, and I heard a lot of stuff like Nazareth and all these old bands, and sort of just picked up influences from those sound and just started playing.
Deadly, just like my boy over here. He sure has a love for his music. Yeah, definitely a rich musical history, and that thinking of the ways that we help each other get through tough days and good times and making memories is sharing our art and our joy and appreciation for one another. And I certainly do love to sing a good song, get people going on the dance floor. And it also helps us process too, when we're going through things, that somehow, some way we're all together.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that your family, since they're all playing music, has that influenced your choice to start playing music, or was that a choice that you came up with yourself?
I don't know if I ever made the choice consciously to play music. What I do know is it's in my blood and in my bones and fuels my soul. There's a different feeling that comes over me when I hear certain songs or, those memories that come flooding in. And I think the call to sing was more my spirit reminding me that we're needing these ways to connect to one another, and music definitely helps us feel things in different ways that we might not be able to say. And that's what I love about music, and the gift to my sons. My boy playing guitar, my other boy into hip hop. It's when we see ourselves grow and change in different ways, and how that art, be people's beautiful sewing. When a hunter cleans his meat, all of these beautiful things about our culture. Music is one of those things that ties together traditional songs, the stories from our elders. It's all important. It all helps us feel through these difficult days and beautiful days and connects those memories.
And she cries, I only gave you one earth, one sky. You've got to share it. The ground burns, the heavens cry. You must repair it. Your children's lives are on the line. So raise your voice, it's time for us to unite. This is our war cry. This is our war cry. From the start of creation, she's given all things like sweet salvation. Let's take our wrongs and make it right. Material distractions, blinding our naked hearts from the truth, cause a chain reaction that steals the captive fate of our youth. And she cries, and she cries, and she cries. I only gave you one earth, one sky. You've got to share it. The ground
So what you got going on in that fishing hole? You found a fish yet?
Oh, nothing biting yet. Waiting for that line to move.
I recently invited my boy up on stage with me, and I don't know how he felt about that, but I'm sure he could share with you his feelings that first time he stepped out on stage.
Yeah. How was that actually?
I've never been so worried. I knew I had it, and I knew that I could play those chords. Just looking at all the other eyes in the room, and they're all looking directly on you and your friends and the people that you know up on stage. And going up there as for a first time was really an eye-opener for me. I didn't take it as a bad way. I took it as a learning experience.
That's amazing, man. It's a big step to make as an artist, to branch out a little more creatively.
I know from watching my father and the way that he recognizes people in the audience. And he sings, he just knows that song that'll get people up on the floor. He just knows that way to get people moving and feeling. And I think, one of the biggest lessons that I learned is that throughout the sharing of songs and music and stories is that we touch people one heart, one soul at a time, and that's our connection to one another. And I love that feeling so much.
I miss seeing your dad play with this whole COVID thing. I don't know when's the next time I'll see him play, and I miss seeing him, how he would use the energy he got from the crowd and send it right back to them, and just get that reciprocity of good energy going with the nice music, square dance happening.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. And, throughout this pandemic and these times that we're going through, finding these new ways to connect with one another, using the airwaves, getting on video, and just being able to talk open and honest about what we're experiencing. Oh, it's so good to hear your voice. So good to talk to you, my dear friend.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice too. It's been a long time.
Well, until we meet again, good sir, I will find you on that ice road somewhere at a good fishing hole.
Sounds good. And until then, keep your hands sanitized and use that mask.
You take care of yourself.
Yeah, you too, Leanne. Take care.
Leanne Goose, over and out.
All right, this is Wade, out.
How are you?
Hey, Grandpa. I was wondering how you're doing there, man. Definitely been a long time since I heard from you. I'm just going over a couple of chords from Mom's song, and I was wondering if you could actually bring up some things about how you got started and integrated into music.
Nice to hear from you. And you too, Leanne. Yes, I've had some adventures learning how to play guitar. Back in when I was 9 years old, we bought a guitar for $15, and $15 magically was the same amount of money you paid for a bootleg bottle back then. And but anyways, that was the amount, and the person never ever did come back, so I ended up with a beautiful black shiny Roy Smeck Harmony guitar, and I took that guitar just about everywhere. I would learn a few tunes from my mother, but my mother was really impatient with me, and she actually called me her earache because I would try and learn in a corner, and the sound that was coming out of my guitar, she claimed wasn't music, and so I had to find some other else to practice. And one place I found was that my cousins across the river from Aklavik, There was a problem though. I tried it once. It was almost 2.5 miles, and it was 5 miles walking return to come back home. So I had a Hudson's Bay Company toboggan, a kid's toboggan, and I hitched up 2 dogs. At the start, it was Star was the leader, and Red was the wheel dog. And I would grab a plastic bag, a heavy plastic bag, the kind that we used for honey buckets back then. And fortunately, it was clean and brand new. And I would use that as my guitar case, and I would take off about maybe after supper, and I would arrive fairly early, and my aunt Aunt Ruby would make sure my dogs were tied up, and I would start learning how to play guitar from my older cousins. This went on for a few years until they moved to Inuvik. But I had lots of fun. Sometimes I stayed too long, and I felt I would fall asleep going home. But my dogs knew the trail so well that they would stop right at my home, right at the doorstep, and my mom would wake me up and tell me to go and tie up the dogs and feed them, and that's how it was. It was really lots of fun, and I learned from my mother. She didn't have it very easy as well, too. There, Leanne and Jacob. This is a story that I call a gift of music because it went through many generations, starting with my grandfather. And my grandmother, I've never known her because she perished, she drowned one day crossing a body of water from one point to another. And this story was told to me by an elder who was a great man, Eddie Grubin. He was 12 years old at the time, so I'm thinking this story started in the early 1920s. My grandmother, the sled went through the ice, and she tried to hang on for her dear life. Everybody was in the water, including my grandfather. It was a very strong current at that place, and eventually he made it to shore pulling the dogs, but my grandmother was missing, and also my uncle. My mother was alive, was spared because she was tied to the Alaskan basket sled. Just to make a long story short for the purpose of my talk to you, Leanne, via shortwave here by Trappers Radio. My mother was given away for adoption, and my grandfather grieved for over a year, making Inuvialuktun songs that are still played today at drum dances. And my mother eventually was reunited with her father, and at that point my mother was learning some pretty sad songs too off the radio, playing guitar, listening to Patsy Cline and Hank Williams and so on. And when I was 9 years old, she taught me 3 chords and said I had to learn the rest. And so this is sort of a gift of music being passed on from my grandfather, even though it had a very sad beginning. My grandfather composed a number of songs that people still drum dance to today. And I had a good 50 years of playing music, thanks to a gift of music that started many moons ago, way back at Bailey Island when the tragedy struck.
Wow, Dad, you've been performing for many, many years. Now you have some of your children as entertainers, your grandchildren.
Hi, Leanne. We're just going to close off and do a song in memory of all the elders in our region, and also especially in memory of my grandfather, Tom Goose, and my grandmother. I never met her. Her name was Constance Nexarnek from Wainwright, Alaska. She perished along with her son at that accident I mentioned to you about. This is a great song that I would like to dedicate to them, and your brother Darryl is going to sing it. This song was, the English portion of the song was written in 1920, and it's just amazing, how it connects back to the time when Grandpa was in that area. So without further ado, we're going to do a song for you. It's called This Little Light of Mine, and it's in Vanaltsi. Thank you. I'm just going to put the microphone down.
Kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk. Aulagumashimulnika, kibbalik-the-nagiga. Aulagumashimulnika, kibbalik-the-nagiga. Aulagumashimulnika, kibbalik-the-nagiga. Kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, Lord, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go now, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go now, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go now, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Jesus is the light, so I'm gonna let it shine. Jesus is the light, so I'm gonna let it shine. Jesus is the light, so I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Kuliaga luga, kilekte nagiga. Kuliaga luga, kilekte nagiga. Kuliaga luga, kilekte nagiga. Kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk. Kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk, kibbalik-duk.
Hallelujah, everybody.
All right, Dad, I love you very much. Gonna head over home and boil some tea.
Good talking to both you and my grandson Jacob today. So I want to wish you all a very good time out in the bush, and it's a great time to be out in the bush, and I love you all, and we'll see you. Darryl, you want to say bye?
Hey, Leanne, it's always good to hear from you, and also my old nephew, Jacob. Glad to see you're doing well, and hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Leanne. I'm so lucky to be borrowing my cousin Albert's Trappers Radio. This is 399 signing off. Have a good day.